Good morning, everybody. My name is Justin Wilson. I'm the Congregational Life Coordinator here, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to this service at the First Universalist Church of Rochester, now with accordion. If you're here for the first time this morning, we especially welcome you and extend the welcome that you belong because you are you and you are here. Thank you for making it to our community. Please stay after for coffee hour in the Clara Barton Lounge behind me or online in the same Zoom link. Next week, we will begin our new church year by officially welcoming our new minister, Reverend Eileen Casey Campbell, to our pulpit. And as is tradition, this coming Sunday will also be the Water Communion Sunday. If you're looking to be part of our welcoming ministry at First Universalist Church, we have plenty of opportunities. We're always looking for volunteers for coffee hour. You can see MJ Curry, who's waving her hand there. Partnering is encouraged. Today we also have usher and greeter training after service in the volunteer office, which is up the ramp from the lounge. If you're interested in learning more about that, come see us. And we have a lot of other opportunities I won't get into, but stay tuned in emails in the next few weeks. If you're not getting our emails, well, you can fill out a visitor's form on the back of your order of service or click the link in the chat. Filling this out will make sure we can offer you a welcome beyond what we can this Sunday morning. If you have a new email address or new address, you can certainly fill one out as well. Before we take a moment to turn towards our neighbors, let's offer a greeting to our online community by waving towards the camera, backed by the Progress Pride flag. We are certainly happy you are joining us, and if you're online, please pop a greeting into the chat to welcome your other online folks. And if you're here in person, let's take a moment to offer a greeting to our neighbors this morning.
Come back, everybody. This is the time when we herd the cats. So will you please stand in body or spirit as you are able to sing our opening hymn, This Is My Song, number 159.
What do you call 200 accordions at the bottom of the ocean? good start. Okay, we'll get serious now. Today in this sanctuary, we welcome a European immigrant. Patented in 1828, it is known for its melodic polkas, waltzes, and marches. It comes in many colors, black, white, red. Some have 120 buttons and some only 80. Some have a keyboard, some only buttons. This immigrant has been treated badly, much aligned, poked fun of, and made the butt of musical jokes. Have you ever been singled out in such a way, been ridiculed for your differences? Perhaps your skin is of a different color. Perhaps you use a wheelchair or a cane. Are you on the spectrum? Maybe you are of a different faith or love someone of the same sex. Do you carry a white cane or have hearing aids? This week, the Rochester Common Council voted unanimously to keep Rochester a sanctuary city. Amen. This vote protects the safety of immigrants in our city and protects the advancements made for the rights of the LGBTQAI+ community in Rochester. So proud of this vote and those elected officials. Today, know that no matter who you are, who you love, how you worship, how you dress, the language you speak, in this sanctuary, if you identify as an accordion, you are welcome. All accordions are welcome here. Come, let us worship together. As Heather Jones, please comes forward to light the chalice, and you light your chalice in your own homes. Please join me in our chalice lighting words spoken in unison. May we be a people of welcome, here to grow in heart and mind and spirit, and may we reach out to serve our community. Please rise now in body or in spirit for our affirmation of faith, followed by our doxology. Well, that's what it is in here. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all grow into harmony with the source and meaning of life. Thus do we covenant with each other and with all. Okay, the doxology will follow later.
I was told if I don't stand on the stool that you can't see my face, so on Zoom. I looked up on thesaurus.com. Oh, what did we ever do without the internet? And there are 234 synonyms for the word giving. Here's just a few: supplying, granting, furnishing, allocating, bestowing, providing, awarding, equipping, imparting, permitting, and offering. When we are asked to provide our treasure, no matter how large or small, it is an opportunity to keep this wonderful church vital and alive for us here now and for those to come. But remember, too, that your presence here today is always a gift to this community. Please place your offering in the offering basket or give online by scanning the QR code on the back of your order of service. This is also a great time to place visitors' forms in the offering basket. For folks online, please click the link in the chat to give to First Universalist Church. Thank you for your generosity. This morning's offering will now be gratefully received. rise now in body or spirit to sing our doxology.
I invite you into this reverent time of sharing the joys and sorrows of our gathered community. If you would like, you can place a hand over your heart to be able to listen from this heart-centered place. We know so much is going on in our world today. And if you have sorrows or joys to share on behalf of our nation and global community, you are truly encouraged to do so today and into the future. As Grant Fish places stones into a bowl, I will read aloud the joys and sorrows of our gathered community. All online are also invited to share your joys and sorrows in the chat. A sorrow from Adam Durand. Loving thoughts of my father, Chuck, who passed away last week after a heart attack. A joy from Kitty Forbush. A joy to attend Transposing Voices concert here at First Universalist. Joyous, unique, innovative. Congratulations to Nicholas Williams and the group. A joy from MJ Curry. A joy to see the coffee hour team growing and people even pitching in to help on days when they haven't signed up. Thank you, Eileen. A joy from Marty Eggers. A joy to be with you in person this morning. Today we share in a community ritual to honor the many joys and sorrows we bring into this space, whether read aloud or kept in the silent sanctuaries of our heart. In a moment, those here in person are invited to come forward to drop stones into the bowl. If you need to remain seated, please raise your hand and Grant can come to you with a bowl to drop stones in. If you are joining us online, please send a heart emoji in the meeting chat. Let us join in this collective ritual of honoring the joys and sorrows of us all. Now the circle of our care is drawn larger. May it increase evermore. Life Lived, One Harmony at a Time, by Patti Goodwin. A while ago, I went back to playing the flute after many years away from it. After just a short time back, I joined the Rochester Flute Association Flute Choir. I have never backed away from a challenge, but this was really hard. I realized I had forgotten things I knew. I would ask the high school senior who shared my part questions about the music, things I remembered I used to know, but couldn't remember now. I tried to take only the easy parts, but even the easy parts can be hard sometimes. I kept practicing, but there were times when I was at rehearsal that the conductor set a pace that was too fast for me to play the music. That's when I made a decision. Maybe I couldn't play all the notes as fast as the conductor let us. But what I could do was make sure that whatever notes I did play were the right ones. It seemed to me that this experience is also an important lesson for life. We can't back away from a challenge because it is hard or because we could make a mistake. We will never learn anything that way. When we realize we have forgotten something we used to know, we don't need to hide in shame. There are people around us of all ages that can teach us and help us remember. Even if we try to minimize our chance of failure by taking the easy tasks, these tasks also present their difficulties and their lessons. We need to learn the lessons these tasks have to teach us too. Living life, as in playing music, we are faced with challenges. We cannot do everything perfectly in life, but what we can do is pick one thing and do it well. Many single acts done well, as many notes played well, can make life a beautiful harmony. Amen. Blessed be. May it be so. We will now sing the hymn of contemplation, Spirit of Life, number 123.
Amen.
In the beginning, at a very young age, someone took me by my little hands, stood in front of me, and encouraged me to walk. For most of my life, I've walked a happy, uneventful life. However, there were times I had to learn to run away from parts of me that weren't true, and run to the things I needed to embrace, to make me whole, to set me free. It was easier to walk, but the run would be worth it. I learned my ABCs and my 1, 2, 3s. With the ABCs, I learned to read and write. Reading took me on great adventures to exotic places. Some of those places I have now visited. Writing taught me to express my imagination, to express myself in written words, many of them that I have shared here with you. My 1, 2, 3s taught me to count, to keep score, to secure jobs, to know if I was being cheated. From my Grandpa Kelly from little on, I learned to greet people properly. When my brothers and I arrived at or exited from Grandpa's house, he'd always say, "Come give me a shake." We'd have to go and exchange a warm, firm handshake with him. When I started school, I learned that boys take off their hats when they enter school, or a public building, or a church. It was a sign of respect. I don't think that happens anymore. I see a lot of hats a lot of times in church. I learned to talk, but it would take me years to find my voice. The voice to stand up for what in me is true. The voice to defend myself against the harsh bully names that my dad pinned on me. Sissy and Crisco Kid Fat in a Can were two examples. I'm not sure he was aware of the damage that those names had on my self-esteem and my self-worth. There were no broken bones, but I learned pain. I know pain. I know how to maneuver pain. I learned to be the best little boy in the world at the hands of my mother. I never gave my parents a big problem. I behaved. My mother's favorite expression when she got a no answer from my brothers or me was, "I never forget anything that I remember." So to keep off Mom's S list, I became a pleaser, never daring to step out of line. I loved my mother dearly, but I never crossed her. It taught me resentment. It led me down paths I may never have chosen had I been able to say no. Again, I learned pain. At the time of her death 30 years ago, a great weight was lifted off my shoulders. I felt free, and that's when I learned to run. I learned that being with my maternal grandmother, Margaret Kelly, was a safe place, the place to receive the unconditional love that I so craved. I learned so much being with her. I took from her a love for a deep faith in my life. She taught me empathy in the way she talked to and listened to the prisoners in her charge as the North Tonawanda part-time police matron. On Sunday mornings, before going to 8 o'clock Mass, she and I would pick up Mrs. Swartz, Miss Jordan, and Mrs. Kleiber, all elderly non-drivers, and took them to and from church. She taught me to open and close the door for them, to show them kindness. I loved those ladies, and several years later when I served in Vietnam, they all wrote me. They prayed for my safe return. Oh, the things I learned. My 3 years in service to my country are priceless to me. Though I never asked or wanted to serve, it was the time of the draft in an unpopular war that I knew virtually nothing about. I learned I was serving to stop the spread of counterinsurgency. Canada was only 10 miles from my home, but I never considered it. That was only 20 years. What did I know? I didn't have bone spurs. During my years in Vietnam, stationed on Camp Anari, at the headquarters for the 4th Infantry Division near Pleiku in the Central Highlands, I had very safe duty. Camp Anari was about 1 mile square, completely surrounded by layers of concertina wire. There was no escaping. I would spend a year within those wires, a sort of prison of sorts. I learned to live communally, sharing a crude barracks with corrugated leaky tin roof, three-quarter walls, and screening with 25 other GIs. I learned to live with absolutely no privacy. Even the 10-hole outhouse had no dividers, 5 holes down each side. I learned to go at night. I shared my space with rats. There was no running water, and you know what? I never gave it a thought till years later that we lived with no running water. I learned the difference from incoming and outgoing artillery. I learned to stay calm and run for cover during mortar attacks. I guided others who were less experienced with an attack. I helped them to find safety. I learned how the earth shook during a B-52 strike. I learned it was partly my duty to protect Camp Inari by doing perimeter guard every fourth night all year long. And this is what we called safe duty. So many had conditions that were far, far worse and far more threatening. I learned that being a husband and a father is the hardest job that I would ever have. It has also been the most rewarding. Finally, I was taught religion. I had it drilled into me by family, priests, and nuns. I accepted it all as truth. What I have learned is that I was not seeking religion, but faith. A faith where I am accepted for my true self. A faith that has love at the center and not fear. A faith where I can be of service to others. I learned that this sanctuary, this liberal faith, is that space. This is where learning to run, has brought me.
Good morning, dear church family. 17 years ago, when I came to First Universalist, I can honestly say, a hot mess. I was 1 year into recovery in the rooms of AA, and I was struggling. My dear friend Elizabeth Osta, who at the time was my patient at the Pluta Cancer Center, looked into my eyes one day as I was administering her chemotherapy treatment and asked me, "Kitty, what sustains you?" I know I stared back at her like a deer in the headlights, for I had no idea. I'd been stuck on step 3 of the 12 steps of AA that states, made a decision to turn our will and our lives to the care of God as we understood Him. God and Him were jarring to me. Elizabeth simply stated, "You should come to my church." So when Elizabeth invited me to come to Reverend Peggy Meeker's ordination here at First Universalist, where Elizabeth was leading the procession of celebrants for the ceremony, I decided to come. One of the best decisions of my life. When I heard the first 2 lines of the affirmation of faith, love is the doctrine of this church, the quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer, I thought, oh, this I can believe in. Besides my beloved dog, Lucky, what First Universalist gave me spiritually, emotionally, and even physically became my higher power, and has remained so. Over the next 17 years, I've looked forward to every Sunday as the way to start my week, taking the love and justice I feel here, outside these walls, to the world I live in. Having this spiritual home has made me a better mother, sister, friend, and nurse. I've learned how to love and believe in myself as a sober woman. There's a beautiful passage from the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous that is read out loud at almost every AA meeting, called the 9th Step Promises. It is aligned with Step 9, which states, "We may direct amends to those we have harmed, except when to do so would harm them or others." I used to cry every time this was read, because I thought, this is never going to happen for me. It goes like this. If we are painstaking about this step of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. We're going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook on life will change. Fear of people and economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations that used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize our higher power is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them. These are important, life-saving lessons I have learned with the help of First Universalist and its principles and values. I could not have gotten to where I am now without your help. I've come to fully believe that speaking my truth and taking responsibility for it is the way to happiness, and that love is the answer, and kindness matters, which is what I find here. I've been encouraged and supported in my singing, as a worship associate, as a board member, and most recently being elected to be a member of the Committee on Ministry. And I just want to thank you all for what you have taught me and for what you bring to this spiritual sanctuary.
We are who we are, not by accident. We are who we are because of the lessons we have been taught in our lives. Some lessons we learn through joy. Some we learn through pain. It is the realizations and truths we come to after these lessons that shape us into the people we are. My first teacher of life lessons was my mother. She never graduated from high school, but she was one of the most learned people I have ever known. She read all the time and had an extensive vocabulary, but her wisdom far transcended books. She knew people and human nature. She would talk all the time to a shy little girl, me, to give her confidence. In a time before the women's movement, my mother was president of the Massapequa Little League. My brothers had long since given up baseball, but my mother kept working in the organization because she believed it was good for the community. She did volunteer work, ran a household, and raised 4 very individual, very independent, and strong children. She said, "I raise you up to send you out into the world." Yet, with all of this, she was extremely humble. I once told her how smart I thought she was. "Mom, I quote you to my students and my friends at least once a day." "Why?" she responded with wonder. "What did I ever say?" She would teach me lessons through her examples. She had little quotes that I will always remember. When my brothers were getting older and feeling big, my mother would keep them in line by telling them, "You're not too big. I can still eat spaghetti off your head." She was Italian. My mother always talked about the worth and the equality of all human beings. "You are not better nor worse than anybody else," she would say. "Nobody is above you, and nobody is below you." She taught humility. Don't hurt yourself patting yourself on the back. Let somebody else do it. One of my students said that was his favorite quote. I like to say that words whisper, but actions scream. During my youth, when I was about 13, I remember my mother taking the neighbor across the street to the police station to file charges against her husband for domestic violence. My mother had asked me what I thought she should do before she made that decision. In my naivete, I said, she should do it because it was the right thing to do. When the husband pounded on our front door, my mother yelled at him and slammed the door in his face. I have never forgotten the courage it took for a woman alone in the house with 4 children to do that. My mother didn't have an easy life. She lost both of her parents within a year of each other and was an orphan at 11. She and her sister spent a year in a Catholic orphanage which rivaled the orphanage in Annie. After a year, they went to live with an aunt and uncle. The expectation was that they would quit school at 16 and go out and earn money for the family because it was the Depression. Her sister, through the school nurse, got a job taking care of a doctor's children after school. When she turned 16, instead of quitting school, she went to live with the doctor and his wife. She finished high school, and they sent her to nursing school. She became an Army nurse during World War II. My mother, on the other hand, had to quit school at 16, work in a laundry during the day, and then go to secretarial school at night. As an adult, I remember asking my mother why her sister was so bitter about all the things that had happened in her life when she had advantages that my mother didn't. My mother looked at me and said, "Patti, what does bitterness get you?" Originally, I thought nothing, but that's not true. Bitterness gets one plenty of things, none of them good. As Mark Twain said, anger is an acid that can do more harm to the vessel in which it is stored than anything on which it is poured. Today, I am taking a moment to remember my mother, who was a role model for me. She listened. She was humble. She was wise. She had courage. She led. And I am grateful to have had her and her love guiding my life. We will now sing our closing hymn, Wake Now My Senses, number 298.
Yeah.
Please remain standing as Grant Fish extinguishes our chalice, flame this morning. Let us read together the words printed on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but we keep its light in our hearts, with its message and love and justice, taking it outside these walls to the world we live in until we live together again. I just want to acknowledge the online congregation and invite them to turn on the gallery view.
For those of us in this room, take a moment to turn around and look at each other.
Go. Put a hand over your heart at this time, too.
To be hopeful in bad times is not just foolishly romantic. It is based on the fact that human history is a history of not only cruelty, but also of compassion, sacrifice, courage, and kindness.
And if we, sorry.
We have to do this in order. What we choose to emphasize in this complex history will determine our lives. If we see only the worst, it destroys our capacity to do something. If we remember those times and places, and there are so many, where people have behaved magnificently, this gives us the energy to act and at least the possibility of sending this spinning top in a different direction.
And if we do act, in however small a way, we don't have to wait for some grand utopian future. The future is an infinite succession of presents. And to live now as we think human beings should live, in defiance of what may be bad around us, is itself a marvelous victory. Everyone is invited to join us for coffee hour immediately after the service in the Claire Barton Lounge through the doors down the stairs or online in the current Zoom meeting. We hope to see you there. And let the congregation say, Amen.
The Rangers March. Remember what she said.
Thank you.